Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm excited to be here with Lizzie Grace Christie. Lizzie, it's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you, Lorelei.
So tell us, what do you do? What do you offer at our events?
I'm a galactic astrologer. I'm also an evolutionary astrologer, so I kind of blend those two practices together. And what I largely focus on is the moon's nodes in someone's natal chart. And then I also look at fixed stars, and I see how the personal planets and outer planets that make up a natal chart interact with fixed stars and their natal north and south nodes. And I'm pretty fascinated with past lives. And the reason for that being is I find that a lot of these fixed stars and the nodes and their placements reveal archetypes that can give us clues to what people were doing in their past lives and what they're carrying forward in this present life to kind of build a hero's journey for them. So I kind of leave them with a story that they can ground into to fulfill their destiny, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Great. Maybe could you just step me through a little bit of like, what's the difference between regular astrology and evolutionary astrology and galactic astrology? Because I have never heard galactic astrology before. So
yeah, galactic astrology has been getting its grounds in the last like 2 years. I would say, as far as my teacher is concerned, Julia Balaz, she's the one who's really like minted that name. It has been around in other forms, but it wasn't ever just flat out called galactic astrology. It's basically looking at a traditional natal chart, but then adding fixed stars. So I use the tropical zodiac system. I know that in other systems, such as Jyotish, that's actually based off of fixed stars as it is. Tropical is a Western astrological system. So it's basically integrating fixed stars into our Western tropical zodiac. So that's really cool. And then evolutionary astrology is essentially normal astrology, but it's more of a fixation on nodes. I'm versed in the moon's nodes, but you can actually find nodal points on any planet, such as Neptune and Pluto and things like that. It's really just how far you want to go in all the layers that are astrology.
and I know I'm asking like really basic questions, but then could you define too, what is a node? And maybe
a
if
node.
it's easier, but yeah, I don't even know what a node is.
So you know what eclipses are that occur?
Yes.
Yeah. So an eclipse is when either the sun or the moon is crossing this nodal point in our sky. It's not an actual physical place, it's a calculation. So when we have eclipses, like I said, it's like the sun is passing either the south node
right?
or the north node. Yeah. And these nodes shift about every like year and a half or so. Like right now we have the north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio. Okay. So we're born with certain placements. Like I have my nodes are Gemini South Node and Sagittarius North Node. So when I was born, we were having eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the education as we go along. Okay. Well, so so you said moon, so you have the different components in the way you look at a chart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it said you particularly like are looking towards past lives as well as helping people that going forward and see what their pathway is forward.
Yeah, exactly.
So do people come to you specifically interested in things like past lives and the way forward? It's the galactic astrology, it's new. I imagine that's a big draw. And like, what are some of the other ways people typically enter working with you?
I would say the galactic astrology factor really attracts a lot of people in this day and age with all the curiosity and the talk of star seeds. Mm-hmm. That's been really fun. I've been very pleased and fascinated with just the range of people who get attracted just simply to talk to me about galactic astrology and potential fixed star connections that they have. And then it's been a lot of galactic astrology. I always tap in with the evolutionary astrology backbone though. So I can kind of waver between like past lives on Earth and then past lives in different star systems and things like that and how they're influencing you. People tend to just, I've found, which is so beautiful about spiritual work and energy work, is that people kind of get drawn to you. And I've had a lot of encounters like that where I'm not necessarily actively like promoting this, and people just kind of gravitate and they're like, I felt called to have a conversation with you or to have a reading with you and things like that. I've really only been publicly practicing for the last year, so this is kind of gaining momentum for me. I've been studying astrology very, I say aggressively, but I'm just so in love with it. Ever since 2017, I've really just been like getting as many books as I can on the things that fascinate me. And like I said, this last year, it's been coming out of me more publicly. So I'm still finding like I'm magnetizing people. The MeWe fairs have been a beautiful expression for me to really get more momentum with this practice too.
Great. And then what happened in like 2017? What opened you to this? And were there other steps along your journey? Like, how did you get here?
So when I was in 2017, I was in the middle of art school at the Kansas City Art Institute in Kansas City, Missouri. I was kind of going through a hard time where I felt really disconnected from my peers and my teachers and my environment in general. And so I found my time mostly alone. I was spending a lot of time in my own space, which was very new to me. And so I just found myself reading, which I had never really done before. I wasn't a reader. I was told at a young age that I wasn't good at it, so I avoided it most of my adult life. And then when I was in that moment of isolation, astrology really spoke to me. And then I started reading over 100-page books. Like I read Star Signs by Linda Goodman, and that was really a big one for me because Star Signs talks about astrology, but it also goes into deep like occultism and numerology and the druids and just kind of seeing magic in everyday life. And through that book, I started seeing magic in my life where I felt isolated and alone. And it really helped me cope and stop rejecting myself, and the others around me, and my life actually got better. So that's why I have been aggressively researching astrology ever since, like eating the books up, because I just feel like it's helping me, and then I'm starting to help other people with it. And it's really, it gets me really excited. Like I'm very excited talking about it right now. Yeah.
That's great. And I know before we started, you talked about your own chart. What would you wanting to share about your own chart?
I just wanted to show people, so I'll screen share now, what I work with and what my chart readings look like. So, all right, here we are. So this is an example. This is my own natal chart. And you can see I have fixed stars on here. Here's like Andromeda Galaxy, Aldebaran, Nihal, Sirius, Procyon, Regulus, Thuban, Arcturus, and Taurus. And then this is the Great Attractor, Galactic Center, Vega, Altair, and Fomalhaut. And then I think this is Alpharets or something. Alp. Anyways, that one is, yeah, Alpharets. Okay. That's an Andromeda constellation star point. So yeah, this is what it looks like if you were to get a natal chart with me. I don't expect my clients to know what they're seeing. Usually when I show people natal charts with all the fixed stars, they're like, I've never knew I had so many things in this house. And I'm like, well, now you do.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised when I first saw it. There's like so much more on it, and then the clustering and yeah. So it has the typical things on and more. Is that what it?
Yeah, I also like to use the asteroids. So I kind of really go the edges of astrology. So asteroids, fixed stars, the nodes. Some astrologers would look at this and be like, you don't need that much, but I have just been eating up all the archetypes that I find that are connected to certain star points or just all the planets. And I also love learning about the mythology of the asteroids and seeing how that like translates into people's lives. I myself have a lot of asteroid connections, so I think that's why I feel inclined to use them, because through discovering my own natal chart, I realized I have, for example, Vesta conjunct my sun, and then I have Ceres conjunct my midheaven here. So the asteroids really want me to pay attention to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Great. We are who we are, and we bring in the gifts that we bring through us being who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you started to share a little bit of the connection. So for someone that knows astrology pretty well, how clear is it to them, like what they're looking at and how it's different with all these new things on it? Can you give us like any tidbits of, just like you started to do, like, right,
With
just
that,
giving us some hints of like what are the different kinds of things you see, like how you see them in here?
yeah, like how they all kind of communicate to me.
Mhm.
So I guess I have a lot of Vega connections here. So there's Vega, and this is Capricorn. My Venus is 2 degrees conjunct Vega. So that is going to link me to the very ancient race of Lyrans, which is thought to be the first beings, humanoid beings, to have colonized the Milky Way. And so we had the Lyrans, and then we have the Vegans, and they're very ancient star beings. And they're both Lyran because they both are from like the Lyran Nebula area. But as the story goes, we had polarity, and the Lyrans took on the more masculine polarity, and the Vegans took on the more feminine polarity. So we attribute a lot of where like our music inclinations for rhythm and like spiritual resonance is like attached with Vega. They're really like the ones who created like ancient mysticism, like a lot of what we experience here on Earth, like all that beautiful, like what we have at MeWe and things like that, is a very ancient like vegan connection. So I have my Venus there. So in Capricorn in the 8th house. So I'm someone who's connected to things that are kind of under the conscious radar. So that is tapping back into this mysticism thing. But it's also kind of this, when I have signatures in the 8th house, I see like a power. So that I feel like maybe I was connected to some sort of like ancient priest or priestess lineage from Vega through the fact that it's in Capricorn in my 8th house, Venus, desires, power, 8th house, Vega, ancient mysticism. That resonates with me when I see this. And then what we have across from the Vega is Sirius. And there's, at an ancient time, a long time ago in galactic history, the Vegans actually colonized over to Sirius. So that like kind of continues this lineage of mysticism that's getting threaded through the universe. Yeah. And I have an asteroid conjunct Sirius here. So I have Juno. So that's relationships. Juno's sacred relationship. She was married to Zeus. We know that Zeus and Hera is also her other name. They had a pretty tumultuous marriage if you think of all the mythology where Zeus is running around and sleeping with women and whatnot, and Hera's taking vengeance on all these poor ladies that essentially get raped. Anyways, she in her elevated place outside of Zeus is sacred relationships. So when I see Sirius there, it makes me feel like in a past life I was having, through relationships with people, I was teaching them deep mysticism, or maybe they were teaching me mysticism. So there's this sharing going on that I feel in my chart. And I know that I'm a Gemini rising. So part of me is to speak and share with others. So my journey overall, from what I just shared, is I'm going to communicate deep sacred truths that are below the radar of most of us existing in different, realities. But I'm going to share them with people. And that's a part of my being, to bring light and communication about mysticism, taboos, things that are kind of out of this world and whatnot.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, yeah, for giving us a glimpse at all this and getting a better sense of what it looks like and how you use it.
Yeah, it just kind of unravels. I can fixate on certain things and then I'll lead to another thing and then I'll go to another and then you kind of start getting your picture.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share with us before we get to know how to find you on the web?
No, I feel like I shared a lot just now.
Great. Well, yeah. So if
Yeah.
people want to connect with you, learn more about what you do, where do they find you?
So I have a website. It's www.galacticmythology.com
Mhm.
and it's relatively easy to find me on there. You can email me, you can purchase readings from my website or just view what I have to offer through there. I do have an Instagram as well, if that's easier for people to connect. So that's at Lizz Grace. And I spell Liz with two Z's. So Lizz and then Grace, Grace. And you can connect with me on there, but I'll probably send you to my website if you do that.
Great, great. Well, exciting. I'm looking forward to everyone learning more and seeing more myself. Yeah, so happy to have you part of the community. And for all of you listening and watching, you can learn more about all of our events at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. Thanks, Lizzie.
Thank you.